What is up? Yo, welcome to PlayStation Generation, a podcast that believes in generations. My name's Matt, and I'm your host for all things PlayStation Generation here on Console Creatures. I'm joined, as always, by Court Lalonde. I have to find new monikers for us.
As always is good because it's like we're like a package. Like I can't go anywhere without you. Well, actually, I just went somewhere without you, and I kind of missed you. I'm not gonna lie.
As much as I don't want to talk about it, we have to talk about it today because I had FOMO all freaking weekend.
Same. But all the pictures,
dude. All of the things going on. All of the I'm over here for drinks, and I'm like, you know where I'm not? There for drinks. There. But we're back, of course, with a new comer to all things Matt and Court. We decided we needed a third. We needed somebody who is incredible, who's kind, who's wonderful, and who can keep up with me when we make fun of Court for being old. We got Rice joining us for PlayStation Generation. What's up, dude?
What up, everybody? It's so good to be here. Honestly, I am so honored to be chatting with these two. And when I was invited to be a co-host, it truly was a huge surprise. So thanks for this opportunity. I'm so happy to be here.
We are so stoked to have you along for the ride, my friend. It's going to be an incredible adventure that we signed off here on the podcast that believes in generations. Court, would you say that we have a goal that I think we want to get to, right? Like maybe being the number one PlayStation podcast made in Canada.
I already had this. So while I was at PAX, they're like, "Oh, you got a new PlayStation podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're already the number one PlayStation podcast made in Canada by Canadians." So It's a moniker that because I did some quick math on this and looked it up. Any other PlayStation podcast that's made in Canada, not everyone on the team is actually from Canada, so they cannot take the title of number one PlayStation podcast made in Canada by Canadians.
Yeah, we're just gonna yell it until
get t-shirts made.
If it's turned on. Yeah,
when we go to PAX next year, all three of us can walk around number one PlayStation podcast, and then on the back in small print, just put, you know what I mean?
And tiny little print around the collar, just a little.
We're not lying.
That's hilarious. Done. Easy.
Done. We're easy. We're gonna.
We will officially be the number one PlayStation podcast. We know it's just only a matter of time.
It's only a matter of time. We're gonna get there. But we're gonna be talking things about the things that we play. We're going to be talking about games. We're going to be talking about news. We're going to be talking about questions. We have a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to be talking about on this here first episode. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in. We appreciate all of you. Of course, head to consolecreatures.com for plenty more. But we need to kick things off, guys. Court, obviously, you and I. Oh my God, Steve, proposed name for this iconic trio, Maurice. I love it. That is incredible.
Well done. Well done.
Pocket episode 1 over.
Yeah, that's a good name.
That's incredible. Maurice. Steve just locked it in. But folks, Court and I obviously ran a successful PlayStation podcast together before. But
we ran a podcast. Let's be honest.
It was. I'm going to give us our flowers. It was a good podcast.
Yeah, man.
It did well, and we had a lot of fun doing it. We met Rice because of it. There were so many things.
It was fate.
So many things. It was fate.
Yeah, man.
But in case somebody doesn't know us, I want to go around the horn a little bit and just quickly kind of talk a little bit about ourselves. Just a minute or two. We're not going to go into a huge autobiography here, going day by day, week by week, year by year, decade by decade, century by century for some of us. Kind of talking about all of the PlayStation, talking about all the PlayStation stuff that led us here. But I want to know a little bit more about you. What kind of games do you like? What kind of PlayStation stuff do you like? Rice, I'm going to kick things off with you because I want to know a little bit about Rice, a little bit about Rice's PlayStation.
Yeah, thanks. This is a really interesting question because my gaming journey has been all over the place. But I will say that I've been incredibly partial to PlayStation for a very, very long time, namely because this was the first kind of platform that I was able to enjoy with other people. A lot of my previous gaming experiences were solo because they were handhelds and other things that were just solo experiences. But I started off in racing racing games, so a lot of Gran Turismo, a lot of fighting games, namely Tekken. Those are the big titles that I've played in the past, but kind of going through all of those different genres, I think that I am now kind of in love with stories. And if something has a compelling story, I'll play it.
There you go, my dude. And a PlayStation first party, dude. There's so much story, so much richness to dive into.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah, Rice. Court, tell me a little bit about you.
Well, I am a gaming dad. So my dad first, no matter what. And I also, just for everybody listening who doesn't know me, who's listening to Console Creatures, I do apologize for the amount of times I will talk about MLB The Show or NHL. It just
don't apologize.
It's gonna happen. I'm sorry. So like for me, my gaming journey actually started on Coleco way back in the day. But the very first console I ever purchased myself, saving up for and everything, was the PS1 in 1998. I bought it just so I could get NHL 98. It had Peter Forsberg on the cover. It blew me away. That's the first time I played Metal Gear, Tomb Raider. Well, Metal Gear Solid, totally different. Like Metal Gear that was on the NES compared to what was on PlayStation. I felt PlayStation was the biggest jump. Like for my generation growing up playing games, we had the NES to Super Nintendo. We got to see actual jumps and graphic fidelity and stuff. Nowadays, these kids are just getting like, ooh, this one's certain frames per second. Like there's not much of a difference. Let's be honest here. Like, well, honestly, unless you're playing Dragon Dogma 2 and complaining about it. But still, sorry, the shot was there. It needed to be fired. But for me, I do play a lot of story-driven games, but I do primarily play on PlayStation. Heck, I used to do an Xbox show, and the joke was to my co-host Matt from Assemble all the time was if we talked about a third-party game, I was playing it on PlayStation, and I wasn't playing it on Xbox. It's always been the console of choice for me ever since the PS1. That's when I went all in on PlayStation. The PS1 to me it's up there with the Super Nintendo as one of my favorite consoles of all time. I have so many good memories, and they also both to me are the consoles that had the most quality games. Like a lot of games started between those two consoles that we get to play now. So PlayStation 1 to me holds a special place in my heart. And then the PlayStation 3, I still to this day really love it. That's where we got our Uncharted's and Last of Us, two of my favorite franchises of all time. So and Infamous.
No, you love part 2 though, right?
Yeah, it wasn't on PlayStation 3. That's why we don't talk about it. But yeah, that's a little bit of me, you know. That's about it. Yeah.
You can talk about all of the MLBs, the NHLs, the whatever other acronyms that you need to toss together. This is a safe space. You can do that here.
Well, that's one good thing about this, what people don't realize. If you notice, Rice talked about Gran Turismo and fighting games. Those are never things that come out of my mouth or Matt's mouth. So we do have all three of us do play because Matt's going to talk about his personas in Final Fantasies right about now.
Right about now, yeah. I mean, for anybody who's been along for the journey, I love all things PlayStation. I have for a long time. I remember getting like my first console that I ever owned was a PS1 that I got from my parents on Christmas, and like just carrying that thing open. It's been a mainstay in my priority platform ever since. To the PS2, to the PS3, the PS4 was like the first. I'll never forget. Like I was calling GameStop after GameStop, EB Games at the time, looking for a PS4 around launch. And it took me like 2 months. Finally found one at Stratford. I drove from London to Stratford, an hour drive in the middle of a blizzard because they had one left. The dude there kindly was like there, like right until after closing. He was holding it for me, and I was like, "You, sir, are a saint." And it's just, I love PlayStation. I love my JRPGs. I love my RPGs. Story first, like Rice said. If there's a good story, I'm in. And yeah, I play a little bit of everything. I'm willing to give anything a chance. Doesn't mean I'm always going to resonate, but I'm willing to give anything a shot. But that kind of rounds out the trio, my friends, because we have so much to talk about today. Let's kick things off with a couple reviews. We need to talk about some games we've been playing Rice, I'm going to toss to you first again because I want
Yeah.
to know, what have you been playing lately? What's been keeping your eyes glued to that screen?
Absolutely. And like many people, still running Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Really enjoying my time. Sorry, Court.
I don't have to apologize. I tried all the Final Fantasies last year. I at least tried them.
Yeah, you tried them, and that's all that matters. And I'm having a great time. The open world experience is something that I'm particularly interested in a lot of different titles. I'm also running Rise of the Ronin. And developing thoughts and stuff. Like, I know you guys played through that as well, and actually went back to, because I hadn't played the DLC, back to Cyberpunk 2077. Nice. So hanging out with Idris Elba and doing my thing in Cyberpunk.
One sexy man.
Let's be honest
here,
dude.
When he comes on the screen in Cyberpunk, even though it's like you're like,
wow,
yeah,
I wish I looked that good. Yeah.
I didn't hear about that scene.
Dude, he's like Ben Starr. He is like Ben Starr. He has no bad angles.
Oh, no, absolutely.
The man is beautiful. I'm also playing Rebirth still. Where are you at in it, Rice? Like, what chapter are you on?
I am currently on chapter 7.
Nice. Okay. I'm on chapter 13. I've been like gunning it.
Because
I was doing everything until like chapter 10-ish, I want to say, and then kind of fell back and started mainlining it. Because like I just don't want to get it spoiled. I've so far dodged whatever the ending is, and I want to get to it. So like I'm like beelining in, and I'm loving it. The game is fantastic. I picked up Dragon's Dogma. I'm just gonna hop in here because I'm gonna transition over and then we're gonna talk about other games.
Told you that would happen.
Dragon's Dogma 2.
People don't know. I put that in the notes that Matt would just go into this game.
Yep. Haven't played it yet. So plot twist for you there. I FOMO'd into it on Friday. My local microplay had some great trade-in deals, so I was like, I'm gonna trade some stuff in that I know I'm done with, and then I'm gonna pick up Dragon's Dogma 2, fully knowing that it's a game I probably won't like, fully understanding that it's probably not for me.
Sure.
But the hype, the videos, the videos that Steve put out, the accounts that stole Steve's videos that they put out.
That's the most hilarious.
Just there's multiple now.
Oh my!
I'm excited to hop in because right now I was so tempted to jump in this weekend, but I really want to finish Rebirth before I hop into Dragon's Dogma because I know we're like days away from people being like, is it okay to talk spoilers for the ending now? Here's what happens.
Right.
Sith is actually Aerith the whole time or something, and I'm gonna get it spoiled for myself. So I'm focused on that. I'll talk about Dragon's Dogma next week when I finish Rebirth because I'm on the second last chapter, so I'm in shooting distance. And of course, Rise of the Ronin is something I wrapped up last week. I liked it, didn't love it. I'm going to toss it over to Court before we have a bit of a larger discussion. A quick one because we do have a full review on the Creature Cast talking all things Rise of the Ronin. But Court, I'm going to toss it over to you. Talk about what you've been playing before we dig into Rise of the Ronin.
So we'll talk about the one game. This is the one game. Yeah. So I've been playing. I just downloaded a game. I downloaded Valiant Hearts Coming Home, but I haven't started playing yet. So I really like the first one. I love history and World War I and World War II and stuff like that. So the very first one was great. And then our good friends over at Ubisoft tossed me a code there, and I'm definitely going to be jumping into that game. So really excited to jump into that. But I have been playing. I know this is going to come to a shocker to anybody that's ever listened to me talk. I have been playing MLB The Show so much that I even played it while I was in Boston.
Look at that.
Yeah. So I brought my iPad purposefully because I wanted the bigger screen. No offense to the PlayStation Portal. I did want the bigger screen. And I played it on my iPad. I've been playing MLB The Show. I will say it is definitely a lot like MLB The Show 23. They have added some things. They've added moments in the storylines. Now, the storylines is here where I think you could actually get people like Matt. You have this game. I would say this is the only thing you play because it is so well. Yeah, I know. Maybe it's the only thing I feel that sets them apart. Besides the fact that the team over at San Diego, Sony San Diego, have done such a great job at being the pinnacle of what it's like to make a sports game year after year. As someone that loves NHL and all these other sports games, they put so much love and almost the history of the game. They bring it in. Their stadiums look to a T exactly like they do in real life. Like if you're playing this game and you're at Rogers Center, it looks like you're at Rogers Center.
That's awesome.
But they have this thing called storylines that they had last year when they covered the Negro Leagues. This year they've expanded on it, so they have more stories for the Negro Leagues. So we get to do more impactful stuff about Jackie Robinson. They've added some women to the game, which is unbelievably awesome.
Hell yeah.
So you can play as a female character now.
Nice.
Yeah, and then they've also added this Derek Jeter, New York Yankees '90s storyline, so that you get to play as like Bernie Williams, Andy Pettitte, and Derek Jeter. But what they do with regards to the theatricals right before, it's like watching an ESPN 30 and 30. So
Steve wants to know if you can see him and Rice eating toonie dogs in the bleachers at the Rogers Center.
well, we won't talk about that since they're on a PlayStation podcast and you guys were wearing the opposite shirts at that time. So.
No, this was a different time.
Oh, okay, all right. But
it was not affiliated.
Yeah, so they in the storylines, it is like ESPN, like it's documentary types. Like they have the voiceover, they do a phenomenal job. They are interviewing Derek Jeter on like the New York subway, and they walk you through and make you relive. And it's as a huge sports fan as I am, I watch that and it gets you so pumped because then you get to play the moment. So it'll go right for the documentary, right into actually playing it. And a perfect example is when Derek Jeter hits a home run against the Baltimore Orioles to go to the World Series. But a fan actually caught it at Yankee Stadium, and they called it. They still ruled it a home run, and the player on the Orioles freaks out. When you do it in the game, they show the umpire walking up to the player on the field and them arguing on the field. Like they bring it. They really do bring it to life. Because last year they had the Negro Leagues, and this year they're expanding, and they've even promised that they're going to add more, like DLC for a sports game, into these storylines throughout the year and add more things. So I'm very excited about it. They did some changes for Diamond Dynasty where last year we had sets and this year we have seasons. A lot of the fans like myself really complained about sets. Seasons is almost sort of the same, but except they're not giving us like 99 players right off the bat. They're trickling down. So we'll start off at a lower level for the player and you play and you have all these programs. They do a very good job of not asking for money all the time. A lot of sports games like 2K and EA, they are, they're goblins. They're goblins, man. They're coming after your money at all times. All they're doing is trying. 2K is the worst, but yeah, EA they'll do it as well. Like they just make it so hard to earn things that it makes you want to put money into it. What the team over at MLB The Show does is they'll literally just say to you, hey, like if you want, you can spend money to get this. But if you just want to play the game for 10 hours, you just go get it for free.
That's dope.
So, you know what I mean? It's not like you got to play it like a million hours. Like they remember when Star Wars Battlefront came out and people mapped it out and you're like, you can't do this. It's like literally here's a program. Here's some objectives you got to hit. And you're constantly, no matter what mode you're playing, you don't have to play Diamond Dynasty. You can play franchise exhibition. They accumulate points towards Diamond Dynasty. So if you ever want to try that mode, you've already got points.
So would you say the biggest difference between last year to this year is that expanded storyline thing? Do they mess with like the gameplay and stuff too, or is that pretty like set in stone?
So they've expanded a little bit on the gameplay as well. So in previous years they had pinpoint pitching, but they did lefties and righties was the same. This time you have to either use the left or you have to use the Joy-Con to go left or right based on the handiness of the pitcher, which is really cool. They've also added some new animations to the catches. So like you have to do a button, almost like a quick time event can happen on making a cool catch, and you have the button mashing. And they've kind of like worked around with the hitting, but it still pretty much feels the same. I will say this as a sports franchise player, a lot of times it ends up being the same. They did so much to this game last year that it's hard to do more. And I do believe this will be the last dual gen version because this game is available on Switch. Which that version?
It's everywhere.
It doesn't run very well on Switch. I'll say that right away. It doesn't.
Sure.
It feels a little Mortal Kombat there. It's on Xbox, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5. It's the fan base's belief and the community's belief that this will be a next gen only console version next year. And I would assume that the Switch version will be a lot like the Resident Evils, where you're just playing them through like an emulator online. Yeah, the cloud because I bought it for Switch just so I could. Did not bring my Switch to Boston because this game it's a yikes. You can barely tell and swing the ball. It's bad.
My last big question about MLB The Show for any longtime Mort listener, they know that you struggle with your elbow when it comes to playing this game. You've like literally injured yourself multiple times playing this game. I need to know, how is your elbow holding up this season?
So I am no longer doing any grind session on this game over an hour. And if I have any soreness, and I already had soreness, I've had
boundaries
already, had soreness. Well, let's put it this way. The game has been out, since last week, and I was away for 4 days. Let's see how many hours I put into it. I don't think it's going to be a good thing. 18 hours according to the app.
Oh,
okay, not awful. I was expecting you to say like 57.
Last year was bad. Not bad. It was at one point I had like 200 something plus hours, and Matt's like, dude, seriously, how? So I'm not doing what I did last year. I'm not getting up in the morning and playing the game. I haven't played it at all today yet. I played it for maybe an hour yesterday. I'm just gonna play it. I'm not gonna obsess over it this year.
Okay, I hope your elbow holds up then, because I know that's been an issue before. I hope that you continue to feel okay.
I think the game is fantastic, and I think they still hold the title of best sports sim out there. It's very interesting how people always talk about Madden and FIFA, and I play those games as well. There's no better game than MLB The Show that respects the sport more than that game, and respects community. Like, they really do. The fact that they do stuff for the Negro Leagues, the fact that they have female athletes in the game, like, it's phenomenal.
It sounds like they genuinely love the sport itself. You know what I mean? Like, there's an appreciation for the history and the entirety of the sport, not just here's your AAA, the big teams, and that's all you're going to care about. It sounds like they really dug in.
And if I had to give it a score, it's a 9 out of 10 for me, for sports games.
9 out of 10.
And I put sports games on a different scale than I would like a Rise of the Ronin that we're going to talk about. This is on a sports game scale. Like NHL 24 this year was like a 7.5.
Okay.
It was a meh because they still had predatory stuff in there. They don't have predatory stuff. That gets them the 9. They're the #1 sports game I played this year.
That's good, man. I'm glad. And obviously, we shout out PlayStation Canada for hooking up with stuff with codes for MLB, for Rise of the Ronin, and also I'll talk about Horizon in a bit. But Rice, I'm going to throw back to you, because you sound like you're getting into Rise of the Ronin. I finished the game, put in a good amount of time. I want to go with you first. What are your kind of early impressions? How are you feeling about the game so far?
Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying the game so far. The combat's quite fun. It's intuitive. I will say, as someone who's played games by Team Ninja before, it's a Team Ninja game, and it's familiar in that respect. I've played Wolong heavily. I've played Neo heavily, and so those titles are ones that I immediately feel kind of close to while playing Rise of the Ronin. And I see Rise being compared to other titles like Ghost of Tsushima, and I understand it, especially with the historical content of the game. So I'm enjoying it in that respect. I will likely sink a ton of hours into this game and finish the story, but even early on, I'm kind of realizing and understanding that this is nothing groundbreaking, at least for me, as someone who is kind of this open world lover.
Yeah.
What difficulty are you playing on?
Whatever the default one is. There's
Dawn.
Yeah, I don't know which one.
I'm on Dawn.
The medium one.
Yeah, the medium one, exactly.
Yeah.
Are you finding the combat challenging? Because you said you played Neo. And
I find it. I like games like that have challenging combat. Now that said, I am a dad as well. I guess that plays into the way that we play games, right? And so efficiency is important to me. So if I'm dying a lot, which I'm not so far, then I have no shame in going the easy route. So
how many vendettas you got out there right now, though?
Oh, I'm like very early into the game.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So as you die,
we're not there yet.
You get vendetta. So as you die, whoever kills you, you have a vendetta against them, and you can get, which I do like, because you can go get your points back.
Sure.
So if you're that early, you're like in the next half hour, so someone's gonna kill you, and you're gonna get a vendetta against them, which is great. Right. But yeah, it's a game. It's good.
Yeah.
Court, where are you at on Ronin?
I really, really, really enjoyed the first 3 hours of it, to the point where I was like, wow, this game's amazing. But then I had issues when how convoluted and confusing the story got. which really bummed me out a little bit.
Mhm.
Matt, we've talked about this in length. Actually, we pretty much did a review once while playing multiplayer in it. But I wanted to choose a path in this, and I originally thought, I'm like, wow, we're getting some like Infamous type vibes here. We're gonna get to choose a path, and there's gonna be 2 actual endings to this game. There's gonna be 2 ways to play this game.
Mhm.
I truly believe I don't see them really having an impact on what you choose, because there could be a character, Matthew Perry. I love using his name just because, like, the friends. But
Yeah.
you fight him at the beginning of the game,
Mhm.
and then 3 hours later, I'm somehow best friends with him. Makes no absolute sense to me, and especially the way I was choosing my path in the game.
Mhm.
So that bothered me. But for me, as my first Team Ninja game, besides Ninja Gaiden from like a long time ago,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I thought that the combat and the traversal of this game are some of the best that I've played in a video game. I thought it was
Mm.
so precise, and they do such a good job. Yes, if you don't parry properly, you get punished for that. But I find in games like Assassin's Creed that I play a ton, you don't get punished for that. Like,
Mhm.
they'll
Right.
give you, like, your hitbox is a little bit bigger. And this, it's like,
Yeah.
you got to be on. And I appreciate that for this in this game, even when I'm playing on easy. At the beginning, I was dying a lot because
Mhm.
you've got to level yourself up. And that's another thing that I appreciate, that the areas stay at certain levels. So
Mhm.
if
Right.
you're level 14, you go back to that small area, you're just dummying people. And I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. A lot of games try and have the progression going with you. They don't do that. I
Mhm.
Mhm.
think the setting of Edo, Japan is beautiful. I think
Yes.
it's great. I do think that some areas, I thought Yokohama was a lot nicer. Matt and I talked about this on the review on Console Creatures. I thought
Mhm.
it looked a lot nicer. Except for that one part in Edo when we're on the boat with the fireworks. I thought that was one of the best boss fight sequences I've played.
Mhm.
But I will also say this: are there boss fights actually boss fights? Because we don't, 9 times out of
Hmm.
10, we don't kill the people. So it's a thing. But you know what? People can play the game and make their choice. I've given
Yes.
it a score. I think it is a good game, not a great game. That is my
Yep.
take on this.
Yeah.
I'm I'm with you entirely. Like I ended up giving it a 7 overall, but why though? I liked it. I didn't love it. I thought the combat is the best part of this game. It's a lot of fun, and when
Right.
you get into when you find the weapons that you like, and the game really does let you experiment and try. There's a bunch of different weapons that you can mess with. Each one of them feels incredibly different than the others around it. It feels great when it all clicks. When you're like, you know, skunking around on top of rooftops, like yanking people up with your grappling hook and like kind of sneaking in and sneaking out.
Mm.
It can be a lot of fun. And getting into those showdowns when Court and I were playing multiplayer, we came up across the mission that we were doing had 2 bosses. So I was kind of like, okay, I got this one, you got that one. We split up, and then it was just silent for the next 5 minutes because we were both like zoned in on trying to focus. We were chatting
Yeah.
away the entire time up until then, but we're like, okay, focus time, it's boss fight time. And it was cool to do that. I have issues with some of the performance. I found that the frame rate to be inconsistent, which in an action game can be a bother. And I had a lot of texture issues. I find the story. I feel like the game in Act 1 is the best that it is, and then it kind of goes downhill
Mm.
as the course of the game continues. The story, like Court mentioned, is not just convoluted, but it just your choices don't actually have much impact. The game
Mm.
wants you to think it does. It has that illusion of choice that it nails. But you'll be making a choice, and then you're like, okay, the game really wants you to choose between the shogunate and the anti-shogunate. It's a central point of the game, and you will try to choose between those two. But the game always makes you both sides it, and you're doing missions for both sides. Nobody seems to care that you're
Right.
literally working on both sides. People that are your best friends you're fighting alongside are your enemy in the next mission, and then your friends again. It's just very rubber bandy in that
And you could bring
concept.
those friends along a mission to fight their own friends, which is weird.
Sometimes the
Yeah.
game will prevent you from doing that.
That's
But yeah,
interesting.
I thought the game is good. I think it's like if you're looking for something to scratch that like Ghost of Tsushima itch, if you're looking for an action game that has you running around Edo, Japan, I don't think this is anywhere near as good as Ghost
No.
in across every metric. But again, that's a high bar to hit.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's a good game. I think it's one of those ones where if you got nothing to play and you're looking for something around this time, it's hitting at a good time with Shogun being as big as it is online right now, and there's a lot of Edo Japan going on right now, which is cool. I think you'll get some enjoyment out of this if you like action games. There's something for you here, and I'm this made me excited to see what Team Ninja does next, because I feel like this is a good, a good rock to build on. I think this is a good base for them to kind of take what they've done here and apply it moving forward. Because like Court, this was the first Team Ninja game that I actually really played. And it was because of the accessibility, because it wasn't like halfway through the game, I was getting dummied so hard, I switched down to easy and then played the rest of the game out through that. Because I was just like, forget it. Like, I'm getting trounced, and I'm not the type of person who's going to sit there and just kind of put my head against the wall trying to do it. But yeah, I think Rise of the Ronin is a good game. I don't think it's a great game. I think it tries to do a lot that ultimately just only does some things well. But yeah, I think that's my Ronin take, Rice. I'm excited to hear your thoughts next week as you kind of progress more into it.
For sure. Funny enough, the most time I've spent on the game is in the character creation screen, because it's quite extensive.
Yes.
Maybe unnecessarily, but it's but I spent a ton of time just trying to make the character look like me.
That is amazing. We need pictures of that.
Yes, we'll definitely send screens.
The last thing I want to talk about quick before we dive into news is Forbidden West. Sony's PlayStation Canada sent over a code for me to check out the game on PC. I haven't tried it on my PC as of yet, because my PC, I don't know if it'll be able to handle it, but I have been playing it on Steam Deck, and it is a good way to play the game. It's not the best way. You have to really crank things down to very low and like really, really like dummy back a lot of the settings to get this thing to run at a relatively stable 30 frames per second. But it's Forbidden West on the go. It feels good. It has a couple slowdowns here and there. They released a patch yesterday that made the game feel even better. I'm like 3 hours in, and like I might actually keep going with it, because I am enjoying my time being back with that game. But running on Steam Deck, I have to say, the fact that it does, period. The team at Nix's are wizards. They got Spider-Man running on it. They got Zero Dawn, now Forbidden West. I'm very hopeful that when Ghost of Tsushima comes out in May on PC, that will also run on Steam Deck.
Yes.
PlayStation have said that they're working hard to get Forbidden West as good as it can be on deck. It's a priority for them. So I think it's one of those things that where if you're willing to take the visual downgrade, if you're willing to take the frame stutters, because they do happen, sometimes it drops to 15, 20 frames per second, but it's quick. It's not usually like long enough that it creates an issue. It's a good way to play the game. Obviously playing it on our PS5 is going to be better. Obviously, playing it on a high spec PC is going to be better. But if you want Forbidden West on the go, the Steam Deck version is good, like surprisingly good. So thank you to PlayStation for sending that over. But folks, we got some news to talk about. That was a whole bunch of us. There was a whole bunch that we've been playing. But I want to kick things off with a very Rice-centric story coming from VGC, written by Tom Ivan. Bungie's Marathon gets a new director while its mobile-like game is in a holding pattern. Bungie has changed Marathon's game director reportedly as part of a wider shakeup of the project's creative leadership team. While Christopher Barrett was Marathon's game director when the sci-fi extraction shooter was announced last year, the Bungie vet has since been replaced. Former Valorant game director Joe Ziegler, who left Riot Games to join Bungie in 2022, has since stepped into the role. According to IGN, Ziegler publicly announced his position as director shortly after the publication had caught winds of changes behind the scenes and approached the studio for comment. So we're seeing a bit of shakeup. Marathon, of course, is their Bungie's original IP. I think they did one way back in the day. It's coming back. It's not Destiny, but it is Marathon. And Rice, as the local Destiny fan, as the Bungie guy, where are you at with the Valorant game director coming in on Marathon?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. What I love about Destiny is that you are able to kind of customize your character however you'd like, and that goes from aesthetic to weapons. And so there are a lot of those RPG elements that I loved about the shooter Destiny 2. I am not a Valorant player, and it seems that the move that they are making here is going towards the game Marathon becoming a hero-based shooter. And I quite frankly am not well versed in the hero shooter realm in the MOBA genre. So that said, this could be an entry point into the genre for people like myself who have been following Bungie's trajectory just ever since Halo, and I think that's where I lie right now. Is that I've stayed pretty loyal to the studio and to what they've done, and I'm excited for what they can come up with. And so that kind of player base in that community is just pretty tightly knit. So I think for me, I'm excited to see what they're going to do, but I'm also a little bit reluctant in that I am not as experienced as other people may be in the genre, as well as just knowing that Joe here is a former Valorant game director, and so I'm anticipatory, but I don't know that I really lean one way or the other at this point.
It makes me curious just because I feel like it's tough for a new first-person shooter IP, let alone a multiplayer one, to kind of land on the scene and then do well for a long time. And Valorant seems to have staying power. It seems to be continually successful. So I'm curious what they can apply that they may have learned from Valorant over on to Marathon. So I'm with you, Rice. I'm curious to see what they may do with this. But we'll definitely keep everyone posted as we find out more, because that game is still nowhere close.
Absolutely.
Nowhere close.
Yeah, and it could have a new game director. Many things could happen in this game before we even see it.
Truth.
Anything could happen. There's so much that could happen. But something that we did find out is happening actually at PAX. I'm going to bring in our first PAX story.
Oh, wow.
Is that we got confirmation that Final Fantasy 16's The Rising Tide DLC unleashes Leviathan on April 18th. Version 1.3 will also bring updates to UI, customizable button layouts, photo mode, new orchestration rules, and more. So we got a confirmation they had a panel at PAX East over the weekend, which Court was at. I'll toss it over.
Really? I was there
to talk about that.
No.
But the Rising Tide is hitting. We got confirmation of the DLC back in December at the Game Awards. The first DLC launched immediately. This one is coming out on April 18th. This is paid. The game director, basically Yoshi P, went out to say that they're considering this more as an expansion than just a straight DLC block. I'm excited. I loved Final Fantasy 16 when it came out. They're adding a whole bunch of stuff here. Anybody else hopping in on the Rising Tide?
Isn't there free update parts to it too as well at the bottom there? I thought I saw. I at PAX, I'll tell you this: Square Enix, you would miss Square Enix if you even tried, because you go down the elevator at PAX and it is the first thing you see. Final Fantasy is right there. That and Baldur's Gate and Nintendo, you can't get past the show floor without hitting those three right away.
Those are Court's favorite types of games.
Honestly, the Pokemon at Nintendo wasn't bad. Let's be totally honest here. I got to meet Eevee and Pikachu. My daughter loved every minute of that. I will say this, and Matt knows this. I actually really enjoyed Final Fantasy 16 to a point. It got to a point where I was just like, geez, these boss battles are like 20 minutes. And Matt's like, that's amazing. I was like, no, it's not. That nothing about that is amazing.
Same. I love that too.
Yeah. So for me, I was actually really enjoying the beginning of it, because before I even bought Final Fantasy, I played the demo and I was like, Matt, I think I'm in. And Matt got all excited, and then they lost me, but I appreciate the world. I appreciate how beautiful it looks, and I hope it does well. It seems that Square has more expectations versus what happens, and if anything is based on their sales, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, maybe they do need to release on Xbox and everything else at the same time.
They've talked about that they do want to add more platforms after PC hits. So hopefully Xbox is in the cards. Because Square has lofty expectations when it comes to sales.
Because the game's good. I'll say that. Like the gameplay is great. It was just the boss battles just got to a point where I'm like, all right, man, it's been a long time.
For me, I was like, yes, more of this, please. But Court, you were at PAX. What I know you talked. You saw some games. You were on the floor. You were talking to devs. You pulled out 3 games here for that.
That I can talk about right now. There's more I can talk about. I can say this, as this was my first experience besides a fan expo here in Toronto. It was amazing. I got to meet so many people that we talk to on the internet on a regular basis. It also was just about video games. There were also board games and stuff in the back, but you know how when we go to a lot of these conventions that you feel like they're just trying to sell you things? Sure. There was very minimal of that there at all. It was literally devs. You could meet devs hand on, and you could play games everywhere you walked. Like I said, you come down this elevator and right there in front of you is Final Fantasy. To the far left was Baldur's Gate, and right on the right-hand side was Nintendo with everything Pokemon. And then Pokemon even had its own card booth over on the side. Atari was there. So many great indie developers. And for what I was understanding, talking to a lot of people who have been to PAX before, that's what PAX is about. They do have the name brands that are going to be there, but it is a lot about letting these indie games shine. And I had way too much fun just playing games that I never even thought. Like one of the very first games that I ended up playing is called Heading Out, which is available on May 7th. Now, I will say this, a lot of the games there are like this one here. It's available on Steam, but I wanted to talk about it because they're trying to do something different. So Heading Out is an immersive driving game, inspired by the cult classic road movies, but it looks like Sin City. Like the graphics itself look like the movie Sin City. It's got a very big comic. It's got a comic book feel. So as you're playing, you're driving the car, you can actually see your foot is like a comic book slide over on the bottom left as the pedal, and it's moving. Unbelievable. Like they do such a great job with the art design. You're traveling in the US, and the first thing you hear on the game is that Canada is at civil war, which it really made me laugh because I was talking to the game's director before I actually started playing the game. And we were talking about like the politics and stuff like that of Canada and the US, just weird conversation. And then he's like, you're going to really like this game then. And as I hop in, there's a lot of that in this game. And one thing I really liked is right after when you start the game, it asks you to make choices. So it's like, are you in a relationship? All these type of like personal questions, but you could even not answer them. You can put that you're not going to answer them, but it helps you for your path on the characters you meet, because you truly do choose your path to drive across the United States. You can choose a path where there's going to be more cops to evade and more conversations to have, or you can take the easier paths. As you're driving, you're on the map. When you're on just the map, you actually have to control cops catching you just on the map as this little dot. And then when you finally get to your story beat, you're doing a race and you're going through and there's side streets, and it's very well done. I played just about an hour, and it felt like 5 minutes. Like I was just like, oh, I need to play more. Like they did a very good job at it. The art direction was great. It's made by Saber, who also is making Jurassic Park Survival, another game that I've talked about in the past that I'm really want to play. And then they made Ghostbusters, the video game remastered, which I loved. And they've made Warhammer Space Marine 2. So they have a pedigree, very good game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I got to go to a booth that scared the living daylights out of me. So it's Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Ilphonic, who made the Ghostbusters game. I made the joke to them talking to the devs. I guess you guys, what other 80s games you're gonna make? I can't tell you their answer, so we'll just let that now for now, because that one was not allowed to be told. But this game here, I got to play it. So we got to play it for about 25 minutes or half an hour. It is multiplayer focused, but it is a lot of fun. So you're either going to be the humans or you're going to be the killer clowns. The sound design they have on this game gives you the heebie-jeebies like nobody's business. This will be available on console, PC, everything. It is very well done. Like these clown shoes, you can hear them actually squeaking because I was the humans. So you're like hiding somewhere.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No. Nope.
I love it.
So no.
I was talking to developers. So what they're holding there, that's me. That's a human. When they catch the humans, they turn them into those and they put them out. But it is scary as living daylight. So I was talking to the dev team about it, and they were like, well, what did I say the brothers' names were? Because I can't pronounce it properly. Matt, Chiodo brothers. I met one of them. He was there, and he was explaining from the 1988 version of this. That's what this is based on, a 1988 movie. They wanted to capture all that and put that in the game, and they did a good job. He said that when they were trying to design the original movie, most people that are afraid of spiders are also afraid of clowns. Interesting enough, I'm not afraid of clowns, but I'm definitely afraid of spiders. But what happens is, as you kill a clown, that clown they'll come back within a minute and come back to kill you. So as you're humans, you either have to evade in that certain time limit, or you need to try and kill the clowns, but you can't. So you have to make a decision. So I was playing with my co-host on 3 Dads in the console, Waba and Pez was getting attacked by the clown. So I went over to go save him because I had a gun, but I only had one bullet. And so I killed the clown, not realizing that another 5 clowns came over and killed me. So to be totally honest with you, don't save your friends. It's like a real don't save them.
Just
Run
put
away.
him out of his misery.
Yeah, just let them die and run
Good
away.
Lord.
It's
No.
very well
No.
done. I truly appreciated it. It was I was actually surprised how much fun I had and how much we were laughing, because like the sound of the squeaky clown shoes was scaring the living daylights out of me.
I can hear it in my mind. I don't like it.
Sounds.
Like, the game looks great. Don't get me wrong, but no.
I'm such a scaredy cat as well, so I'm right there with you, Matt.
They did a
Absolutely
very
not.
good job of scare. Like you think, oh, it's clowns with lasers and stuff. No, it scares the living daylights out of you because they kill you, man.
Well,
Man.
if they want incredible content, send us over and we'll do a let's play with all of us. And I guarantee you, I will be in tears the entire time.
That will be a memorable gameplay.
And then I was walking over to an appointment I had with the Rugrats team, who unfortunately didn't show up on day one. They showed up later on. I ran into a friend of the show, Des, over at Freedom Games, and I got to play G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra, and that game is amazing. That game turned out to be one of my favorite games I've played. Now, as a 80s child, G.I. Joe is synonymous with the 80s, that and Transformers. So it is a cross between Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game or The Rise of Shredder, or I would say Double Dragon from the NES days. So it's a side-scroller beat 'em up, but with that arcadey feel.
Love it.
And the only two characters we could play with was Scarlet and Duke, but it is a 4-player game. So the Wrath of Cobra, there it is. This game was so much fun. Like you can see, it looks like old school Super Nintendo games.
That
like,
retro,
so good. The sound on it was fantastic. I made a joke to the dev team there, and they were laughing. I was like, well, if the Cobra guys have lasers and they shoot me, should I just bounce off me? Because no one actually dies in a G.I. Joe cartoon, except even in the movie. Like Duke gets a snake through his heart in the 80s and somehow walks away. It's like no big deal. But that boss fight we got to do, see now, Roadblock. We couldn't. This is in the trailer. We couldn't play these characters while we were there. So I was asking these questions. We could only be Scarlet or Duke.
Nice. Okay.
I think this will be a lot of fun to play. Shredder's Revenge is what I think it's going to be. 4-player co-op. Everybody's going to love. Well, there's gung ho there. Man, this game was my favorite game we played. Well, we put a lot of hours. Like anytime you walk by that booth, I saw Kyle Stevenson from the PlayStation Trophy Room. We're all just like, oh, I guess we're going to play G.I. Joe for a bit because like it was well done. And also Des and that team over there, they were so nice to talk to. Great time. Really looking forward to that game coming out.
Awesome.
And then the last game I played was that I could talk about is Tape to Tape. Of course, Court found the Canadian-made from Quebec video game about hockey. It is available on Steam right now. They had some new modes there. I played a lot of this. At their booth, they had like a couch that you could play with. And I got to end up meeting Sean Haston, the developer of it from Quebec. We talked for hours just about hockey. I spent a lot of time at this booth. This game was a lot of fun. It's not like your normal sports video game. Like there's different things you can do. Each character has their own like special moves and stuff. It's a lot like Hit the Ice, but I would almost say better. Like you can do these crazy like weird passes where like you can throw your stick at people. Refs can disallow goals just because they want to. Like all that kind of stuff. There's a story mode to this. Like it's a lot of fun. It's not your typical sports game. That's what I will say. It's available on Steam right now. It's roguelike.
Hockey roguelike, dude. This might be the most interested I am in a sports game. I used to play the living shit out of what was the one? Was that NHL Blitz?
Yes.
The PS1 one?
Mm-hmm.
I played that an ungodly amount back in the day.
I would love this game.
Because it was arcadey, it was ridiculous. You could put people through the boards. I loved that game. So
gotta love the goofy.
Is seemingly scratching that itch. I might be in on this, Court. I might be in on a hockey game.
It not necessarily do you have to be the best at hockey, mind you. Myself and Sean, the developer of the game, we did a little tournament because we were the Canadians there, and we were like, anybody want to play us? So we played a bunch of American teams. We did not lose. That was my second time playing the game. We ran the table and went through team after team. No one beat us.
Well done.
But we both, we're both hockey players, but it's a lot of fun, that game. And then I got to, at PAX East, I got to meet one of Matt's favorite voice actors. It was like the funniest thing to me. Everybody was like, "Oh, it's Ben
Hey, you just
Starr."
got to meet Ben Starr, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my
That's fine.
goodness.
That's cool.
I made a joke
Yeah,
that he
let's
was
go.
the voice of Mario, and that's how the conversation started. But everybody was talking Final Fantasy with him, and I just stood there awkwardly, having nothing to add to the conversation. But I got to meet Ben Starr. That was really cool. I just had such a blast at PAX. I highly recommend it for people in the industry and people not. Like, I got to meet so many different people there just on the floor, talking to people in line for stuff, for the Dunkin' Donuts booth, and all these different things that were there. It just, everybody seemed to be happy to be there.
Right.
Dude.
Like, console wars didn't matter in that building. Let's put it that way.
Do we need a PAX North court? Do we need something in Toronto? Like, why isn't PAX here? Because I'm telling you, me and Rice, we're just sitting up here having our Tim Hortons, not our Dunkin' Donuts, twiddling the thumbs and the fingies. Why don't we have PAX up here, and do we need it?
Honestly, we 100% need it. It actually to the point of embarrassment that we don't have it. Right. Because so many developers that I ended up talking to, because this is the one time, if you are listening to podcasts and you have your favorite people and content creators, yeah, they're there on the floor just talking to people. Like, and the amount of people, once I told them I was from Canada, they're like, "Oh my God, you have this developer, all these different development teams that are in Canada that are even at PAX East. Why don't we have such a big community of developers and indie developers that make games here in Canada? There needs to be a PAX North. It's not even a matter of should we, it's why don't we? Because it doesn't even make sense at this point, because there were so many Canadian people that were there. We have so many Canadian people that contribute to content creation, and we have so many Canadian people that contribute to game development. Some of the biggest games are made here in Canada, yet for some reason we don't get a showcase. And I think at this point, it's almost embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like there's so many indie devs who I'm sure would love to be able to go to something like that and be able to display, but cost is a thing. Traveling to the States, and when you're setting up a booth, you need all your equipment, you need the manpower, you need all of the travel costs.
Crazy thing, the things they're giving away for free, like the tape to tape guys, like they had so much going on there.
Like, that's what I mean. It's like Fan Expo and Comic-Con, both in Toronto, are both very different beasts compared to something like a PAX. We need something that can spotlight these devs. Like, I mean, the Guacamelee devs, they're the devs. I'm blanking on the Big Con. There are so many
BioWares. Like, come on, like,
dude.
Huge, like, I look at it this way: Fan Expo, I think, is the closest thing that can do it, but they don't. But I think they could. Because the only difference is Fan Expo still has that like flea market thing over on the side, and people love it, Artist Alley and all that. I just don't think you need that. I think that company that does Fan Expo, I believe it's the same company, is it not? That does PAX, Reed Pop or whatever it's called.
Do it? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. Like, we already have Comic-Con. They could take some of the stuff from Fan Expo and just put it at Comic-Con and turn Fan Expo into a PAX.
The problem is that Fan Expo is too wide. It's too wide of an audience. You have cartoons, TV, movies, anime. Like, you have gaming. You have
put that at Comic-Con.
They're trying to do everything, and it just there's not enough of a focus.
Yes,
folks. Let's hop into one last news story, just a quick one, because we have a bunch of news that we're not going to get to. We'll save that for next week because we actually have a bunch of questions from wonderful folks all over. Yes. But let's talk about this just very, very quickly, because we got an announcement this morning that Stellar Blade, the next PS5 exclusive, is getting a demo that is hitting March 29th.
For real this time.
For real this time, not by accident. It's coming out. There's a wonderful write-up by Kim Hyung-tae over on the blog talking about it. It's going to have carryover. If you beat the demo, you're going to get some special thing. They are not confirming what it is, but you'll get something for the full game, and your save progress will also carry over. I, of course, will play this the second it comes out. Court is actually kind of excited for Stellar Blade, so maybe he'll play the demo.
And not just because of the clothing.
Sure.
Yeah, I am also excited for this title for sure.
I'm stoked, dude. I'm excited to hop in and check it out. But
we just don't play it in front of our wives. Like, who are we kidding? None of us do it.
Dude, I have my mother-in-law here until mid-May. I'm gonna have to pick like weird hours to play this thing, or else
she'll just come in the room. Dude, the amount of, like, I just want Matt to be playing it, and the character's like climbing up a ladder, and she just comes in the room and she's just staring at Matt, and Matt just doesn't even realize, and then all of a sudden looks over and she's like, "Oh my God!" Like, just a look of disappointment that's gonna be on someone's face.
I have to play this exclusively in my Quest, like linked to the PlayStation, because I don't think I have another option. Which hold on,
PlayStation VR 2 can go to PC now.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Oh.
We're saving that for a longer conversation.
Yeah.
But the Quest, I can do remote play. But I'm worried. What if I start playing this on the Quest and somebody just turns the TV on and it's by default set to that input, and they're going to be like, "Why is this woman just moving around the screen? And why is Matt in that headset trying to hide this?" I don't know if there's a way.
That's even worse, eh? They're gonna think you're looking at porn, not a video game.
Exactly. But we'll talk much more about Stellar Blade next week once we get the demo in. But we have to do some questions. We have a bunch of wonderful folks who asked a bunch of questions for us, and I don't think we could do these questions without Steve Vigvari coming in for the inaugural.
Oh God! I thought
first
that
question.
Like, what is that?
The first question for PlayStation generation, Console Creature Zone, Steve Vigvari. What's up, Steve?
Oh my goodness. How are you guys doing?
We're good. Look at us with this new technology. We're just like letting people drop in.
I know. What a mistake, right? What a mistake. What an absolute bamboo. No, no, first off, I just wanted to say congratulations on the show. I mean, this was incredible to watch, to just sit back and see you guys all gel. Rice, you're an outstanding third chair on the show, so congrats on the inaugural
Appreciate
episode.
that, man.
But no, I had to pop in. You know, you could not do a podcast, PlayStation podcast, without me jumping in and just interrupting everything. So first off, I wanted to ask, long time, first time, obviously, Steve, I've already here. Yeah. But I had to kick up some old dirt. I had to, just for this first episode, for people who are jumping in. Last of Us Part 2, the best game out of the series, right?
Wow,
right?
Yep. Dude! On first episode, you brought this? No,
of course,
it's not.
100%.
Oh, hold on. I will go first because we already know what Matt's going to be doing here. Story-wise, Last of Us Part 1, gameplay, Last of Us Part 2. But for me, story always wins over gameplay if I'm playing a game. So I'm going to go with Last of Us Part 1. And as a dad, I've played it so many times. The last time I just played it, I cried way too much, and I even cried watching the TV show. Especially because I'm a girl dad. I have a daughter. That it was the most impactful game to me story-wise. It made me have the feels more than any other game I've ever played. So I can't not love it forever.
Sure, whatever. Just whatever your reasons, whatever you need to tell yourself when you go to bed at night, Court, it's fine. It's fine. You being wrong is something that I'm used to. Okay, so Last of Us Part 2 is just the better of the two. Gameplay, story, everything across the board. Part 1 is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Without Part 1, we would not have had Part 2. So it's at least thankful for that.
The silence.
I'm waiting for the tiebreaker here from Rice. You know, I gotta know.
Yeah, no, sorry, Court.
I know. I'm okay with that. I think it's a generation thing because, like,
this is why
it's like sometimes we have conversations about stuff, and he's still lost in like
generation.
Yes.
Thank you. Yep.
See what I did there?
The first time we talked about this, I was a bit of a centrist and said,
yes.
We did talk about the fact that two can't exist without one, but truly, like, I just really enjoyed the writing of 2. So.
And then I also wanted to bring up a funny one, just because I knew it would just bother Court to its core. Would you rather be a strawberry with human thoughts, or a human with strawberry thoughts?
Wow, that's a brain buster, because like no matter what you do, I think both options suck. One,
not great.
I'm not a fan of strawberries. I don't think I want to be a strawberry.
Oh, no.
Period. Yeah,
Interesting.
I don't know I love blueberries. I love raspberries. Strawberries just meh.
Strawberries are the best berry, dude.
No,
It's a generation thing.
Blueberries. PlayStation generation.
That's your first piece of merch. I'm just saying it right off the hop.
Right? I don't know. I think I'd have to go with a person with strawberry thoughts. I feel like my mental just being stuck in a strawberry. Listen, there's a show on Netflix called Chicken Nugget that I've been watching, okay? It's about a woman who gets turned into a chicken nugget. It's a Korean show. It is ridiculous. It's fantastic. So I feel like this conversation is timely. If I was someone stuck in the form of a fruit and unable and constantly worried if I was ever going to get eaten, if you go to a strawberry field,
can we be eaten?
You're lost forever.
Can we be eaten?
Of course.
Yeah. You decay everything. You're a strawberry.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
And then if I'm a people with a strawberry thought, I'm going to be a person thinking I'm going to get eaten all the time. Wow.
You're just going to have no thoughts. You're just
a strawberry. I don't know what kind
of. You just kind of stand like this all day. They kind of try and
with
make
like little
triangle
bugs
with your
swimming
body.
around inside of it all the time. You ever put
Yeah.
strawberries in the water with the bit? Oh, do that trick.
Yum.
You might not eat a strawberry ever again. Little worms swim out of them, man. It's gross.
Bro, where do you buy your strawberries?
Yeah.
You from the farm. You pick them at the farmer's market. What? Seriously?
Costco.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't go to
Costco.
Costco. I'm not there yet. I got 10 more
Costco.
years and I'll be going to Costco all the time.
Farm boy.
Farm boy. Dude, I hate that place. They never have any other things. I don't understand Farm Boy. People, my parents are like, go to Farm Boy. I'm like, that place sucks.
It's true. You can't get garbage bags there.
You can't get a lot of things there.
Thank you. It's so weird.
Yeah.
You can't get Windex there.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Yes, they have very good popcorn.
Disappointed.
Let's be honest. That bag popcorn, that stuff is good. But even if like as a chocolate connoisseur, you go into their candy section, it's meh. It's so meh.
You go there for certain things.
Yeah.
Like deals.
Garbage. Yeah.
Did the fact that Court just called himself a chocolate connoisseur just slide by? Are we really letting that go? I think that's my
you gotta let him
new
have
moniker
one.
for you.
Yeah,
that's my new moniker.
I would love I love chocolate. Like I truly will try it. The hotel I was staying at in Boston, they had these chocolate croissants that had chocolate filling, but they were also they had like a stuffing on like a second layer. Oh my goodness. They had a pistachio one. They had a strawberry one. They had I was just like, damn. Those Americans really know how to put extra calories in their food.
Yeah.
That's a really good way of deterring Steve's question.
Yeah, right.
Well, I got nothing. I already said I was gonna go with being a strawberry with human thoughts. And it's
Got it.
terrible. Yeah.
Cool.
Rice, where are you at on the strawberry scale?
Yeah, I would definitely be a strawberry. A strawberry. Just because, you know, thinking of being a strawberry and contemplating existence, that's a story to behold, you know. So even if I couldn't get anything accomplished because I'm just in the soil, at least I'm thinking, and so therefore I am.
That's a good point. This is like Everything Everywhere All at Once, the sequel. Like, all tied in here perfectly.
Philosophy.
Well, thanks a lot for having me, guys. Really great first episode. Can't wait to do it again. All right, love you all. All right, see ya.
Take it easy, Steve.
And now that Steve's gone, let's get into our other questions. Over on Twitter, we got a whole bunch of folks writing in. At @RealDeal_J O'Neill writes in saying, Mr. Josh O'Neill himself, welcome back, boys. Many questions. Is PlayStation leaving money on the table not having Helldivers 2 on Xbox?
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
No doubt. But like that's why they're doing it.
Hey,
they're not
an article we won't talk about next week. We found out 60% of their sales are on PC for this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they've topped like 6 million sold or something at this point. Like
and it's killing it on Steam.
Astronomical numbers. It would be even more so if they hit Xbox. But again, like PlayStation wants you playing in a place that they can help control what's going on. Right?
Yep.
Which totally makes sense. It's their prerogative.
Yeah, it's a different. Yeah, exactly. Such a different prerogative. So
it is what it is.
Yep.
Josh's next question: will Court add a new PS5 Pro to the stockpile?
Yes, 100%. But
Obviously.
I'm definitely going to sell a PS. I have a digital PS5. I'll chop that one to get. Yeah, I'm definitely going to trade it in for the Pro.
Yeah, break it down. And his final question: what's your game of the year thus far, Rice? What's your game of the year so far?
Bro, loaded question. I'm going to give that to Rebirth right now.
Nice.
I'm going to give that to Rebirth right now.
Jesus, I'm drawing a blank here because I can't just give it to a sports game. I think that's like a cop out for me.
Dude, if that's your game, it's your game.
Yeah, that's all right.
Like, I'm enjoying MLB The Show. I don't think anything, to be totally honest, I don't think anything has blown me away yet to the point where I'm like, besides Helldivers 2 right now, like, I guess, you know what? Helldivers 2, 100%.
Yeah.
I had way too many giggle moments playing with Matt.
It is a giggle game for sure.
It's a giggle game. Yeah.
It's a giggle game. I've been blown many times this year already. Between like Persona, Like a Dragon, and
hold
Final
on
Fantasy.
If I would have said that line that you just said
I did that
there,
on purpose. I did it on purpose.
Yeah. So that's a T-shirt for Matt.
Well done.
Next time he's in the room with his wife, Matt's gonna have a T-shirt saying, "I've been blown many times." PlayStation.
So many T-shirt ideas from this episode.
Seriously, I'm just picking up what you're putting down, Court. That's all.
You've been blown many times though.
I know.
I like to watch.
That never happens.
There you go. I'm married too. Where do you think these? I'm just kidding. Whatever. Between Persona, Like a Dragon, and Final Fantasy, and Helldivers, I think my number one still right now is Infinite Wealth. Like a Dragon,
awesome.
The game just blew me away. I feel like there's just so much blowing going on in the streets of Hawaii. But I love the combat, the story, like, everything about it is just fantastic. I genuinely plan to go back to platinum it because I'm not done with the game. I got sidetracked with the slew of other games that I've hit over the last couple of months. But Infinite Wealth is ridiculously special for me, and I don't know if anything else is going to top it this year. I probably already have my top 3 set for this year between Infinite Wealth, what's it called? Infinite Wealth, Final Fantasy, and Persona. Balatro snub, Yarden. Balatro is incredible. It's fantastic. I've been playing a lot of it as well.
I haven't played it yet. I feel bad. I have a code I haven't even
It's really good. It's really, really good. Well, Josh finishes out saying, "Can't wait for the future of the show." Thanks, guys. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for writing.
Thank you,
Josh.
Nagachaka coming in saying, "I've been dying to ask about the 2024 guaranteed GOTY Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. What do you guys think about the game so far, and who are the best people to have in your party, and why is it Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith? What's your party comp so far, Rice?"
That's interesting. I actually go with Barrett, Yuffie, and Cloud. I just like the variety of avenues that you can take with combat, and I'm not saying that that's better than anything else. I just prefer having Barrett as a ranged character, and then Yuffie with her ninjutsu, and I love that throwing star, and Cloud because I love big ass swords, man.
Dude, especially because Yuffie duels, like she can do ranged and you can get in close with her. She's quick.
Absolutely.
We talked about Rebirth and how much we both love it already, so that's obviously up there. But for me, my party comp has been Cloud, Tifa, and Yuffie for pretty much from the minute that I got Yuffie. It's a very light party. I like getting in, messing stuff up, getting out. Tifa with her stagger building is insane.
True.
And Yuffie with like just a cross elemental, she literally hits all the elements without issue. That's my party comp.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nagachaka. We appreciate you.
Great question.
As always. Gamer Graham comes in swinging, asking 3 questions. Do you think that the ability to get a game's platinum trophy influences your purchase? Personally, not at all.
Sometimes, 100%. If it's crazy difficulty or only multiplayer trophies, and the game is a meh already, I'm probably just not even going to give it a chance.
I've only recently started trophy hunting, so I can't really weigh in too much on the question. But so the short answer is no for me.
I just think multiplayer trophies shouldn't be allowed. I like popping a trophy, and I think multiplayer trophies, like I said to you, Matt, when we were playing, I was shocked because when we were playing Rise of the Ronin, we didn't know what the trophies were, and we finished a mission in multiplayer, and I was in shock that there no trophy popped. And I even said to Matt while we were playing, I'm like, good. I'm actually glad we didn't get a trophy for only playing in multiplayer.
Yeah,
I thought that was good.
For me, the trophies are always an afterthought. If it's one of those things where if I'm really loving the game and I'm like, I'm not done with this, then I'll take a look at the trophies. I never look at them ahead of time. It's just not a priority for me. If there's one of those things that if I have time and I want to dive in, like I said, Infinite Wealth, I feel like the platinum is attainable. I'm going to go back just because I love the game, not because of the trophies, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The second question, do you need tips on how to game with a newborn? If so, rockers work great. Been figuring it out. When she sleeps on me right here, I have my in a little claw grip right here, playing away. Got the Meta Quest in case I'm in bed and I'm awake waiting for something to pop off. Figuring it out. If you have anything else, Graham, let me know. And final question from Graham saying, do you think Court Lalonde should have been a hockey player in an alternative timeline? I 100% think that's a thing. That is 100% a thing.
Believe it or not, I would rather be a general manager than an actual player in the NHL.
Oh, interesting.
I've always wanted to be like a GM and like that person I was talking to you guys about when I met him at we talked about was like transactions and like behind the scenes of the NHL for like an hour.
So you would do well in that.
I would love that. I'd love that. That's my favorite podcast is called 32 Thoughts. It's a hockey podcast, and that's all it pretty much talks about.
I have to ask you, if you were just given a stupid amount of money and they were like, you have to use this money to purchase a team and it cannot be the Boston Bruins.
Okay.
Like, let's say you have to purchase a team and then you can be the GM. which team would you buy?
The Vancouver Canucks.
Okay.
That's the first team that ever drafted my father, so I would definitely buy that team if I can't have Boston. So like
history.
I have the Vegas Golden Knights. My cousin's the coach there. I don't want to be in charge of him. I think that would be offside. If it pissed me off, I might have to fire him. Like that would be awkward. But Vancouver Canucks, I think it's an organization that's never been really run properly. I would love to buy them and let them, bask in their history. And like the team's been around for a long time, but it's never won a cup, so it's more of a challenge. Vancouver Canucks.
Interesting.
Not the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like not them.
You wouldn't want to try and turn them around? Make them into a
because then I would go against every bone in my body. It'd be hard, man.
Moving on. Also, Dave 1337 writes in asking, with the new PlayStation podcast, there's an important question to be asked. Why is Final Fantasy VIII, the best Final Fantasy game that is available to play on all PlayStation consoles? I've never played 8, so I can't comment.
Yeah.
No comment.
I also cannot comment because I have not played 8. As much as I love certain Final Fantasies, I've only kind of stuck to 7, 14, 15, and 16.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I want to go back and play 10. Maybe if they remake 8 one day, Awesome Dave will be able to answer this question. But Midas has already gone at length saying that you're wrong. Sorry to tell you, and I'm going to defer to Midas on this one.
Oh, but hold on. We didn't defer to Midas on Steve's question, but we're going to defer to Midas on this question. How convenient! You just do. There was a question about The Last of Us. And we didn't defer to Midas there.
I don't know what Midas's thoughts on strawberries are.
Oh, question. He definitely has some thoughts. Just to give you a heads up on that one.
Savoy Prime writes in saying, "Don't have a question. Just wanted to say I can't wait to hear you all again. Thank you, my dude. We appreciate you always.
He's awesome."
Sumit Roy at Black Wyver writes in saying, "Which PlayStation console's logo is your favorite? Which logo is your favorite? For me, it has to be the PS1.
Yeah,
the Technicolor
by far."
We'll let people know the original concept we were trying to figure out for a logo on this pretty much was that logo. We just wanted to figure out how we could do it without copyright strikes.
That logo, the color in it's just awesome. Like I see people buying those stickers that you can put on your PS5s to make that logo, colorful.
Yeah, full plates that look like the PlayStation 1 for the PlayStation 5.
I'd be all over it. No problem. If there's a PS5 Pro bundle that comes with generational stuff, I'm in.
Question for you both. Yes or no? Did you mod your PS1?
Yes. I had 2 PS1s. One modded and one not.
I don't know anybody that didn't.
Dude, my dad, it wasn't even a choice. My dad was just like, I'm doing it. I have a guy at work. I had just a binder full of just burnt games.
Yeah.
You play everything. You play Metal Gear Solid VR. Like, who cares? VR missions? You're like, I'm in.
Easy.
I'm in. I don't care.
Whatever dad brought home from work, that's what I was playing. I had no choice. The first game that I think I could remember going to the store being like, I want this was Crash 2. That's the first one that I actually have a tangible memory of.
Yeah, mine's just NHL 9.
I actually have that PS1 right here.
He's still got it. Look at that.
My modded PS1. There you go. Let's see. Is there anything inside? Twisted Metal Small Brawl.
Twisted Metal.
Literally got Twisted Metal Small Brawl in the hopper.
In the hopper right now.
And our final question coming from Flash Robot, Lionheart Ash writing in saying, "Why aren't you playing BioShock? Because I want to play good games." This was
dude.
Wow.
You can't say that about that game. I'm going to tell you that right now. I tried Final Fantasy. BioShock's amazing.
Yeah.
BioShock is amazing.
It's amazing.
Dude, if they remake it or something, I'll give it a
shot.
They
have made it. They remastered it.
No, remake it.
Oh,
I'll remaster it. Remake it. I played Infinite. That was great. I like that one. I'll play Judas when that comes out.
Dude, that was the only thing. The amount of people I ran into, they're like, "Oh, I got to have an early try to play Judas today." I'm like,
yeah.
It's like, oh, where and when, so I could just sneak in to play this game.
Take all the tips that you learned from Rise of the Ronin and get in there.
Yeah,
right.
That brings us to the end of the show, everybody, for this longer episode. Because it was our first, we had to get in as much as we could, folks. Thank you so much for listening. If you're wherever you're listening, hit us with that 5-star review. Follow the podcast. We're going to be back each and every week, Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern, to do this live. And of course, it'll go up to your podcast services right after. Thank you so much. Before we go, Rice, if people wanted to hear more from you, where could they do so?
Yes, absolutely. You can follow me on my Linktree /RICEBOYYY TV. And that's my name on all socials. That's Rice Boy with 3 Ys TV on all socials.
Hell yeah. Make sure you go follow Rice in all the places. Court, what about you?
You can find me on the interwebs at Court Lalonde, pretty much on everything, I believe. I don't think my name is different anywhere else. So yeah, Twitter, Threads, Instagram, whatever you want. I'm in all those things. And you can find me every Wednesday at 8 p.m. live on 3 Dads on a Console.
Yeah, it's been a while since you retired that at Mushroom Boy 69 handle. I'm proud of you. And of course, you can find me at Matt_SilverSoul on X and all the other places. Check out CreatureCast. Check out Console Creatures. We appreciate you all so very much. Thanks for hanging with us on this first episode of PlayStation Generation. And we will be back next week. Peace.